Dan Caulfield. My business is ElevateEdge Coaching and Consulting. I'm an executive coach, leadership coach and consultant, and I help professionals to develop their influence and authority to get to where they would know that they're capable of in their career. And also within the organisational context, I help organisations to engage that top talent so that they stay within the business and they actually grow with the business as opposed to move to their competitors. So today I'm going to be sharing a topic really that's front of mind for, to be honest, I think every business today, how to retain and engage your top talent. You know, you've got really top talent in your organisation, you want to keep them, you don't want them going to the competitor. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today, and I suppose the key thing is when you have high staff turnover, it's a huge cost to your business. So from the perspective of retraining, rehiring, lost productivity, and it's a huge drain on your costs, huge drain on your money. So really, I suppose what I'm going to talk to you today is about that this significant unnecessary cost to companies, and it is a problem that can be solved. Okay, it's definitely a problem that can be solved. And we're now approaching full employment in Ireland, and therefore the war for talent is very, very present. So it's very important for you as a business to make sure that you are engaging your talent, you're engaging your employees, so you're getting the best from them, therefore you're increasing your productivity, and ultimately you're increasing your revenue and putting a safety lock on your profits. So, new research, it actually came out about 2 weeks ago, gave a very interesting statistic, because obviously there's research happening all the time, and this was based largely on the Irish workforce, which said that 42% of the Irish workforce are dissatisfied in their jobs. So it's a very interesting statistic, and it spoke about 42% have hit a career ceiling, feel frustrated, or are in a toxic situation. And you know, the alarming thing on top of that is that 1 in 5 employees are actively looking for alternative employment outside of their current organisation. So if you kind of play around with those statistics, you're kind of asking yourself the question, does that mean 42% are disengaged or are dissatisfied in their jobs? But then does that say only half of them are actually doing something about it, right? So therefore the other half, what are they doing? They're just sitting in their jobs every day, clocking in, clocking out, they're not engaged, they're not productive, they're wasting a lot of money in the company, and you want to get them engaged, okay? So the CIPD survey of HR practices in Ireland has shown us that HR strategy, or HR strategic priority for the next 2 years is employee engagement, for all the reasons I've just mentioned. Because employee engagement is a top priority for businesses and for senior executives when they're looking to see where they can safety lock their profits. So having high performing teams is essential for growth and survival, and as I said, in the approach to full employment, that's even more so important. Just one other statistic to give to you is a recent article I read in the Harvard Business Review showed that 71% of business executives see that employee engagement is a key priority for their organizational success. However, only 24% of them actually say that they feel that their employees are engaged. So therefore you see straight away that there's a big gap there between that 71% and 24%. So just to give you a little bit of background on myself. So I spent 20 years working in corporate myself in the area of strategic sourcing and procurement. So quite different from the space I'm in right now. But in that time I worked up into senior management, and I've had a huge amount of experience of working in different companies with different leadership styles across different industries within IT, healthcare, medtech, telco. And during that time, I've seen different leadership styles, different leadership cultures, and I've seen what's worked and what's not worked in my experience. And I suppose from that, as a leadership coach and consultant, I take that into organisations and really helping them to understand, well, why don't we have an engaging staff? Why are we not getting more from our people? And that's hopefully today for you, I'm either going to give you more insights than you already know that'll help you to take that next step forward, or maybe I'll reaffirm what you already know, but hopefully it'll cause you to take action. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of the time we know a lot of this, but we don't take any action. So, I suppose the quick show of hands actually here, how many people here are business owners? Okay. What about how many people here are team leaders within an organisation, not necessarily a business owner? And the third one then would be, how many people here are professionals working in an organisation? Okay, perfect. So my talk is going to touch on all those areas because it's going to touch on the professional who's there wanting to be more engaged, knowing they're more capable than where they are right now in their career, which is what I do, and I work one-to-one with clients to get them there, right, whether it's authority, but also the organisations who are looking to keep that top talent. You know, they're afraid in case their top talent leaves and moves to the competitor. So really, I suppose today's employee is, as I call it, it's a consumer of the workplace. Employees are no longer satisfied with clocking in and clocking out every day, and receiving a paycheck. They want more than that from their organisation. So they're looking to be more engaged. They want a purpose-led organisation, and it's not all about. They want to work in an organisation that's more than profit. It's purpose-led. The one thing you have to think about is a lot of the organisations, like maybe some people here have worked in Google or many of those Facebooks or whatever else. I worked in Intel myself for years, great company to work for. But the one thing that people need to remember nowadays, it's way more than the good coffee and maybe if you have a slide in your office for some reason, it's way more than that, right? Employee engagement is far more than that, and that's what people need to really take into their minds and think, how do I make the difference? So employers are beginning to ask deeper, tougher questions about what makes a great employee experience. Because this starter stuff is great, but it's going to wear off, right? The novelty is going to wear off. So what I've identified here is what is a good employee experience? So the employee experience has 5 key elements of that. And the first one is the manager. And I'm sure if we've all heard at this stage, employees, they leave their manager, not their organisation. I'm sure you've heard that. Because if we don't have a manager who really fosters from us what we're really good at, brings forward our talents and our experience, and brings out the best in us, then we're not going to feel like we're really bringing the value we want to our organisation. And that's the thing I find with professionals that come to me, they're saying, well, Anne, you know what, I'm working in the organisation for a great job, but I've outgrown my role, and I don't see that they see the value that I can bring forward. I'm kind of stuck, okay? And that's where their manager is very, very important. Their manager is important so they can pick out exactly what is unique about that individual. So you might have 3 people with the exact same job title, but what makes the difference from one over the other? What are the talents, interests, strengths that one person has that the other person doesn't have? The second one is the role. So that's around clarity of the role and knowing what's expected of them. Are people clear on what's expected of them? The third one is the team. And this is the value they bring to the team. People perform at their best when they feel that they're respected in their team, when they feel that they're bringing value to their team. And also the very important one, trust. So they need to know that they're trusted by their team and they need to feel like they do trust their team. And the fourth one then is about workspace. So this is going back to, having a workspace where it's like a physical environment that is conducive to good work, which makes sense. And the last one, but by no means least, is well-being. And Gallup has identified 5 elements of well-being, and that is purpose, social, financial, physical, and that sense of community. So that's just kind of like briefly touch on what makes a good employee experience. However, I've asked myself the question, and I asked this to organisations, but what do employees really want? Like, we've got these 5 elements of employee experience, but if you go behind that, what do they really want? Like, that all looks great, we can work on all these areas. And that's where I've categorised this into 3 areas, okay? And that's what I want to share with you today. So, the first area is they want to feel like they're in control. And when I say in control, I'll talk a bit more, obviously, about all of these in a moment, but be in control of their career, be in control of where they're in. Be connected, and the third one is to be invested. So once they feel I feel like I'm in control, because the opposite of control is what? When you don't feel like you're in control, what are you feeling? Being manipulated.
And power.
Yeah. You're feeling fear. So the opposite of control is fear and feeling that you don't have the power. And manipulated. So so it's opposite, it's fear. It's that fear. So you want to feel in control. You want to be invested and you want to be connected. So if you have to think of, all of those areas. So let's start with to be in control. So if I said just now, if you think about your organisation, or if you think about you and your career, do you have career growth opportunities right now that you know that you can get to? If you don't see that you have career growth opportunities within your organisation, then you're not going to be very happy there very long. You feel like that you've outgrown your role. You feel like you haven't really, because as human beings, we want to continuously grow and develop. We want to continuously learn. And if we're not continuously growing and learning, we're going to lose interest. And either we will leave the organisation or we will just stay where we are, we'll stay stagnant, but eventually we'll get so uncomfortable that we will end up leaving your organisation. Because the big thing here is the purpose. Like, why is it important to me? So you have to really believe in your work. And when you actually get to that point, the outcome is an employee that has that level of energy, the enthusiasm, the engagement level that you want in your organisation. So if they see, yes, I have career growth opportunities, you know, I'm really being used for the talent and the strengths and the interests that I have, that's really recognised in me. So therefore you're going to carry that with energy because you've got that sense of trust and respect. And again, that leads to higher job performance, creativity and productivity. And that's what we need in organisations. We want not to just tell people what to do all the time, we want them to think outside the box. We want them to be able to come up with creative solutions to problems, not just come to us with a problem. We need them to come to us with solutions, always be thinking the next step ahead of how they're going to get there. And based on this was actually a Gallup survey which found that 40% of managers identified emotional intelligence as the most important factor influencing whether an employee takes responsibility for their own engagement. And that's actually a very important point. Because although we would say that, yes, as an organisation, I need to develop an engaging workforce, I need to put everything in place to have an engaging workforce, but also it's the responsibility of the employee as well to show that I'm engaged. You know, it's a two-way thing. And the key thing, and as an emotional intelligence coach myself, I see that when we're developing staff, the key things are around self-awareness and self-management. Really helping people to understand how developing their own self-awareness of where they're going to develop forward, what their behavioural preferences are, and also looking to see how they self-manage within an organisation. And that can be something simple as, like, for example, we have a very busy, dynamic environment we all work in nowadays, but how do you manage that day? Do you just get thrown off task every time somebody comes to you with a request? What's your self-management strategy? How do you manage that? How do you set up a sense of respect within your colleagues so they don't just dump load work on you when things just happen, right? You need to develop that sense of authority in yourself and respect that you're managing your workload, you're managing how you're getting stuff done, but you're also managing your career progression. I did a workshop recently, it was actually a public workshop, and one of the key points that struck a note with people in the room was, and these were all professionals who were looking to break through to the next stage in their career, and that's what we're working on in the workshop, was the fact that I was saying, are you a person that's always doing? Are you a doer? Or are you actually an influencer of getting the work done? And people had to think about that for a moment. And most of them were saying, I'm actually a doer. I get the job done. I'm a safe pair of hands. You know, when something needs to be done, they come to me, they know it gets done. And I said, that's wonderful, but you're going to find it very hard to get out of that job. Why?
Just go and find someone else to do it.
Yeah. So it's not that you're not going to do the great work, it's just that you'll know exactly what to do, but you're going to be an influencer of getting the work done. You're not going to be the one there doing it all, getting it done, because you will not be moved on in your organisation. And it's more of a benefit to the organisation that they do move you on, because they see the abilities you have. Because what are you going to do? You're just going to move elsewhere. So that's a key point. So I really only have 20 minutes here, of course. I'm going to be probably jumping over a lot of things. But I suppose getting back to being in control, the key questions that your employees are going to need answered in order for them to feel they're in control is, you know, do I get to do what I do best each day? And do I have opportunities to learn and grow? And of course, that will translate to your higher revenue and put a safe lock on your profits. The second one is to be connected. So this is connection between the employee and the organisation, and also to the employee goals, or to the organisational goals. So you need to have that connection flow. So that as an employee, am I connected to the organisation and am I connected to the goals? The other key one here is about communication, and this is extremely important. As I say here, people are more likely to engage if they are informed. And a lot of the time, you know, we see in organisations where, you know, if we want to have somebody who's really engaged in their job, we want them to know that they're very valuable, their particular role, them as a person, are very important in our organisation to get the results we get. However, what happens is when communication breaks down, it happens, for example, let's give an example of there's a big change happening in the company. Everybody knows it's going to happen, but everybody's talking about it. There's no real communication happening. We're not really communicating what we know. Yes, there will be certain elements that we probably can't share, but we're not even sharing what we can share. What happens then is that employee who actually is engaged and they're doing a great job, they're a great person to have on your team, they're not knowing what's going on. They're not sure what's happening. So what's going to happen to that person? They're going to shift from the engaged employee to over here, which is, I feel, is my job in threat? Am I going to lose my job? What's going to happen to me? So now what do they feel like? They feel like a number. So they move from feeling like, actually I'm a key part of the cog in this wheel, to now I'm actually a number. Maybe my job's going to be cut. I don't feel secure. So that's why communication is very important. And communication on many levels that I could talk about for a long time. But even from a manager to employee perspective, and I'm actually going to talk to you about that in a moment as well. So we spoke about purpose-led organisations. So go back to purpose. So purpose, you need to find in your organisation how you connect purpose to your employees. What does your organisation do other than just making money? What's the output of what you do? How do you make a difference to customer? What's that purpose-led story? And I'll give you a very brief example. When I worked in medical devices, we used to have these kind of employee experience days, and this has happened all the time. One example would be where we had different speakers coming in from different parts of the world talking to us about their divisions, what was happening. One particular thing that sticks out in my mind was they showed videos of customers, like we were developing medical device products that were using patients, and we had these patients talking about their experience. And it was absolutely amazing. This one story sticks in my mind of this couple and their child. And this child had an illness which was preventing this child from, partaking in activities every day with her siblings, with her friends. And literally her parents had her wrapped in cotton wool. Like they were just afraid that she would break because she was already ill. And with the intervention of the medical device, which was made in the facility that I was in, her life was totally changed. And then a video of the child running around, playing with her friends, having lots of fun, all the rest. And that was a wonderful story, but they took it a step further. Because the next slide that came up was a list of names. And that list, those list of names was what? It was a list, and if anybody here knows the medical device or any of the regulated environments, everything's tracked and traced down to the actual operator who put this piece together on the production line. They had a list of the operators who were on that production line on the day that specific device was made that went into that particular child. And they recognised them on that day. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And that really made people feel like, I really make a difference here. I make a big impact. So I would ask you to say, what's your story in your organisation? What's the story that you can share to connect to the purpose? It may not be something like that, but there's always a purpose that you need to connect with your employees. So you need to ask yourself, what motivates people? Why do they choose your organisation? How do they contribute to the greater good of your business? And the other thing is, as I said earlier on, I'm more than my job specification. Yes, I go in, I fulfill a job specification, but I'm not a robot. I have my own personality, I have my own strengths, I have my own interests, I have my own hobbies. So if I want to get the best out of an employee, I want you to bring your whole self to work. Your whole self. Because there's many benefits of that. First of all, being the whole self, we're going to get all of that goodness into our organisation. Plus, also, that employee is going to feel so engaged, so enjoy their work. And we're going to be pulling on the key areas that they love and enjoy doing. Whatever those strengths are. Maybe it's hobbies, maybe it's some key area they've really keen interest in. So again, if you've got 3 or 5 employees with the same job title, you can manage that in such a way that you're putting people into areas that they'll enjoy doing and they develop in that another person might not like as much. Just to keep that in mind. So, as I say here, is to know your people. Who are they? Not just what they do. Focus on engagement at the local and organisational level, and select the right managers. And this is a very important point about selecting the right managers, because typically, people who are promoted into management positions are typically people who are very technically competent, which is wonderful. But what happens in organisations, they promote them into a management position, but they don't give them the skills as a manager. So they just put them over here, now you're managing a team of 10, 15 people or whatever, but they don't have the skills to go. And that's where that employee then, or that manager, is going to get frustrated, they're going to get totally overwhelmed because now they're managing people, they haven't been developed in that area. So what I would say to you, make sure you coach your managers, because at the end of the day, if you don't coach your managers to be able to manage their employees and engage their employees and to get to know them and everything I've just discussed, then you're going to lose people. Because as we said before, people leave their managers, they don't leave their organisation. And, I think it was Richard Branson said, if you take care of your staff will take care of your customers. Okay, so that is so important. And as I said here, the manager alone accounts for 70% of variance in team management. So the primary questions you have to ask, I suppose the questions that employees want answered around being connected is, do I know what is expected of me? Does my supervisor care about me as a person? And do my opinions count? And the last one is to be invested. So, obviously we've come out of the recession and all the rest, but we have to be, employees want to be, people want to be invested for growth. They want to be in a growth organisation. But there are still companies out there who are really in that rigorous cost reduction mode still. And it's just a really kind of absolutely need to keep an eye on our costs. We also need to be continuously reducing costs where we can. But some organisations that I've seen and I've worked in have got stuck in that circle and they haven't come out of it. And they're in continuous mode over and over again, and they don't understand then why they're losing staff left, right and centre. Because as human beings, we want to be in an organisation where we're growing, we're being invested in, we can see a vision forward. We're not just looking to the quarter end. We're actually looking to next year or the year after. We're developing a great product or a great strategy. What's the exciting piece about what we're doing? And when we miss that piece, we're going to lose people, and we're going to really not develop them where they want to be. And so for companies moving towards investment and growth, the three factors identified as most critical for success were first, customer service, second of all, effective communication, and third is achieving high levels of employee engagement. And the interesting point here is that 2 out of 10 employees strongly agree that their performance is managed in a way that motivates them to do outstanding work, and that was by Gallup. And that's going back to coaching your managers. So the primary questions employees need answered to work productively include: do I receive recognition for the work my work recently? Does someone at work encourage my development? And has someone talked to me recently about my progress? So these are the kind of questions. And over the last 3 points I've made, the questions I've asked here, if you're here as a business owner in an organisation, you need to ask yourself those questions to see, how do I rate on a scale to 1 to 10 on those questions? Second of all, if you're a professional, ask yourself those questions and ask yourself, well, how do I rate myself on those questions? So I'm running out of time, so I'm going to really jump past this slide. So in summary, what employees want is to be in control, be connected and to be invested. And people will feel more enthusiastic about their jobs when they feel empowered to achieve something meaningful beyond their expectations. Because at the end of the day, the 2 key reasons that people change jobs today is to find more purpose and also for career growth opportunities. So how I help professionals to get on a path to a more fulfilling and rewarding career where they know they're more capable, but where they are right now. And that can be within the organisation, or maybe they want to change entirely, go to a different career change entirely. But essentially it's helping those individuals, because professionals nowadays, if they've been stuck in a job for far too long, they've forgotten what they're good at. They've forgotten their own skills. So that's where I help them to understand what their transparent skills are, and also to help them to develop the influence and authority to be able to clearly articulate what they're good at, why they're good at it, and give them direction and vision in their career. Before we go, that was very, very fast. I don't want to speak too quickly because I know I'm under pressure to finish here. But what I want to do is, for you today, I want to give 5 people here today the opportunity to have a consultation with me. And that's a complimentary consultation where I will go through where you are right now, where you want to be, and identify what's getting in your way. So be it a professional here or a business owner, I have 5 slots available, and if you want to pick that slot, send an email to Biz Expo, and the first 5 emails I get, I will send you an email and I will get in contact with you to see where we can take it, we can discuss it further. So thank you very much, guys, and I will hopefully, actually as well here I have a copy of my Career Accelerator Toolkit. If you want to get a free copy of that, you just sign here and put your details and I'll send that to you. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.